Hello, friends. This is Marilyn. Welcome back to Hillview Farms, where country runs deep. Today, I'm putting up fresh corn, so come sit on the porch with me and keep me company, and I'll share some of my childhood memories with you. It is actually a really pretty day for putting up corn. It's kind of overcast today. The temperature's in the upper 80s. Have my ceiling fan on. I'm going to have my music on and a cup of coffee shortly. And I'm going to enjoy just sitting on my front porch putting up corn. I know a lot of people have never actually put up their own corn before, so I just want to show you how easy it is and how enjoyable it is. It's very peaceful. It's just me today, but when I was growing up, we would be in the backyard at my grandma's house. They always planted several rows of corn, and all of us cousins, the aunts and uncles, would all be there, and we would all help shuck the corn. All the kids would help shuck, and then the older ones would do the silking process because it's a little bit trickier. Some people don't mind the silks, but we like to get as many out as we can. It's not going to hurt anything if they're still in there. Also, for some reason, my grandma always cut the tip off. I don't know if it's because she didn't want any rough pieces of the cob to puncture a hole in the plastic bag, because we put ours in the freezer. So I think that may be it, but I mainly do it because she did. And I have wonderful childhood memories of us putting up corn and working in her garden. I hope you enjoy helping me put up corn today. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to check out our channel, Country Runs Deep, and hit that subscribe button so you'll see every new video that we post. I'm collecting all of these shucks because at the end of the day, all of these will go to my goats. And it will be a special treat for them. They love corn shucks. So nothing's going to go to waste. This is one of the first videos I've made where I've actually put myself in front of the camera and talked to you. And the reason is I've always been self-conscious, you know. You tell yourself things like, you're too country. Every time you open your mouth, you sound like cornbread. Well, I do. I sound like a collard sandwich, actually, which is 2 slices of cornbread stuffed with collards. So I'm about as country as they come. So that always kind of held me back. Then I hate the way I look on camera. You know, you always need to lose weight. Well, if I wait until all that happens, I'm never going to make a video. So I finally decided just to bite the bullet and do it. So here I am. And main reason I'm making these videos is certainly not because I think I'm going to become an internet sensation, nor would I want to be. I'm mainly making them for my grandchildren. I'm trying to preserve all the things that we did growing up because I really think that was the best generation. We had the greatest childhood growing up. We had pretty much a great economy. It seemed like the world was a better, simpler place. And I just want to preserve all the ways and traditions that we carried out as a family. There's probably easier ways. I'm sure you found easier ways of putting up corn, tricks of the trade that we aren't using, but I'm trying to preserve the way my grandma did it and the way my mama did it. And I'm mainly having these videos put on YouTube so that when I'm not around anymore, my grandchildren will have access to my videos out there in YouTube archives. You know, when I was a kid and we were in the backyard shucking corn, it was hot then too. I mean, the days were in the 90s back then too. We just didn't realize it because we were outside having fun, and that's what we did. Outside is where we lived all summer long. I always rode my bicycle around the neighborhood. My mama never knew where I was. Half the time I was hanging out with older kids in our neighborhood, and she knew we were okay. We'd ride our bicycles all over town and come home by dark only because we were hungry. It was time for supper. A lot of times when we were putting up corn, it was actually after we had already spent the morning putting in a barn of tobacco, or suckering tobacco, or taking out a barn of tobacco and bagging it up and taking it to the market. Those were wonderful days that I'll cherish the rest of my life. I am so glad I grew up in a world that didn't have technology. After I shuck the corn, I like to rinse it in water and use a brush to try to scrub out as many of the silks as possible. The next step is called blanching. This is mainly just where I put the corn in a pot of boiling water for about 5 to 7 minutes. Not really cooking the corn, just trying to sterilize it in the boiling water. I like to put my corn on a towel and spread them out so that the cobs can cool completely for a few minutes before I put them in the bag. I don't want them to be too hot when I put them in the vacuum seal bag. Aren't they pretty? The main reason I have started my little hobby farm is for my grandchildren. We have goats and chickens, miniature donkeys, a couple of rabbits. I want them to have the kind of opportunities that I had when I was growing up. I want them to experience life on a farm, experience the responsibilities and satisfaction that comes with taking care of animals. I want them to have the experience of gathering their own eggs and coming back to the house and scrambling them for lunch or a late breakfast. I just want them to have that experience. My children didn't really have that. We were in a different time at that time when they were growing up. Now, we did have a garden periodically. Their grandmother had a garden, and we always kind of helped take care of that. We would buy corn also from the same place I got this, T.C. Smith Produce, for my locals, and we'd put that up every year. So they did have some of that experience, but they didn't have the true farm experience that I want my grandchildren to have. The week before last, I had the chance to speak at our church Ladies' Day, something I'd never done before, very out of my comfort zone. But one of the points that I left with them in my message was to keep your hands busy, because my message dealt with, going through hard times and, asking God for strength to help you get through difficult situations or difficult times in your life. And I mentioned how important it is not to give in to the temptation of self-pity and wallowing in grief or doubt. And we're all going to question God periodically, and we're not going to understand His plan. But during those times, we have to trust His heart. And the point I left them with was, you've got to do your part. When you feel like just staying in bed or just staying at home, staying in the house and wallowing in your grief and your pity, self-pity, that's when you need to get outside. You need to get the sunshine on your face, believe it or not. Just feeling the sunshine on your face and on your skin will boost your endorphins and immediately lift your mood. And then you need to find something to do. I have people comment on my Facebook page all the time. If you don't follow me, Hillview Farms on Facebook. They comment a lot of times how busy I am. They don't know how I do all I do. But the reason I stay busy is because, I don't know if this is a scripture or if it's just a saying. I think it's a scripture. Idle hands are the work of the devil, or idle hands are the workshop of the devil. Maybe that's it. Basically what it means is, if you don't keep your mind occupied, guess who will? Satan will. And he will get in your mind, and he'll whisper in your ear, and he'll tell you all these lies. And he'll make you question everything that has ever happened to you, make you question everything God's ever done for you, and make you doubt your faith. So that's why I stay so busy. I keep my Jesus music playing. I don't have it on right now because I'm videoing, and I don't want my video to be tagged due to copyright infringement, so I do turn it off whenever I'm videoing. But just know, I've got my Jesus music playing. I'm about to go get my cup of coffee. And I'm keeping my hands busy. And I'm thinking, while I'm pondering and I'm cleaning the silk off this corn, I'm thinking, I'm talking to Jesus. I'm praying for my family. I'm asking Him for guidance and direction. So this is my therapy. My little farm helps me to stay busy. It helps me to keep my mind and my hands busy, so that I only have room for the sweet whispers that Jesus whispers in my ear, and I don't have room for Satan to sneak in his little lies. So find something to keep your hands busy. Pick up a hobby, a craft, volunteer, go clean your church, go vacuum your sanctuary. Find something to do with your hands. Phew, I finally got that cup of coffee. I'll take a quick break to cool off. It makes no sense, does it? On a hot summer day, you want a hot cup of coffee. I never did understand that when I was younger. I think it's an old person thing. Did you hear that? I think it's thunder. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a thunderstorm while I was putting up corn? Those are my two favorite things to do. Put up corn in the summer and sit on the porch during the thunderstorm. So I may get to finish putting up corn while I sit on my porch during the thunderstorm. So peaceful here on the porch. Hear my rooster? I think that storm is almost here. The breeze coming off of it feels so good. Hear the church bells? So peaceful. And I hear thunder. I mentioned earlier about how my kids really didn't get this farm experience and all the experiences that I did growing up, that we really did have the best childhood. But I think my generation grew up thinking that we wanted our kids to have it better than we did. We wanted to have them educated and make sure they all went to college and got a degree and got a good job so that they didn't have to work in tobacco like I did, and my parents did, and they didn't have to grow a garden and put up food in order to eat over the winter. So we thought we were making life better for them. So my generation kind of lost touch with all of the traditions, all of the making your own food, growing your own food, eating what you grow, making your clothes. My mama made just about all the clothes, especially our church clothes that we wore. She made my daddy's work shirts. But we just thought we were doing our kids a favor by making their life easier. And now, as a grandparent, I realize that I want my grandchildren to have the childhood that I had growing up, not the childhood that my children had growing up. So I feel like I did my boys a disservice by trying to make their life easier and trying to avoid them having to work out in the hot fields and having to, shuck corn, which they did periodically, but not regularly. I feel like I robbed them of that in their childhood. So I feel like this young generation that has come up is now trying to re-embrace all of their traditional values of raising your own food and looking at the labels on the foods that your children are eating. And so I think this new generation is embracing more of the farming lifestyle, and not necessarily homesteading lifestyle, but they are embracing the movement of making your own breads, growing a small garden. Anyone can grow a garden. You can do a container garden on your porch. So I think that's wonderful that that's coming back. I think they realized that they got gypped, that their generation got robbed because we were trying to make life better for them. Well, it's time for an afternoon snack. And one more tradition that my grandma always did, and I'll remember it all my life. I'm not proud of it, but I am very fond of it. And that is keeping her Hershey's candy bars in the refrigerator. So that is how I do mine. I absolutely love a good cold Hershey bar straight out of the refrigerator. It's probably why I can't lose weight. Well, we are finally finished with the shucking part. My goats are really going to enjoy this. Now let's go in the house and finish blanching, and then we'll start bagging. So I have veered off of tradition just a little bit because we didn't have these handy dandy vacuum sealing food saver machines when I was young. So my mother and my grandmother always used Ziploc bags, and that was fine, but sometimes you would end up getting the crystallization on the cobs. Sometimes we would get what Grandma called freezer burn, or she'd say it got rusty. Either way, this is the best way I have found to put up corn. So the first thing I have to do is cut the bag to the size that I think I need. Measure out. Handy dandy blade for cutting. And then we're going to seal this end of it and make a bag. And it uses heat to create a tight seal on that end of the bag. Okay, so got a nice seal. Now we're going to fill the bag, and I'm going to start over here because this is the first corn that we blanched, and I'm going to fill my bag. And I'm going to start out putting, I think, 4 pieces in each bag. And I left a lot of room there. That's okay though. Then we just put this back, this end back in, and this time I want to vacuum and seal. When it gets really loud, you know it's almost finished. And then it uses heat to seal again. There we go. Look at that. Easy peasy. Perfectly sealed. Now I put my corn up on the cob just because that's how Mama and Grandma did. Now my husband's family always put theirs up on the cob, but they would also scrape some and freeze it that way. I really didn't have any experience with scraping corn off the cob and putting it in a freezer until I got married and moved to Lenore County. As I was growing up, we always ate corn on the cob, and if we ate corn off the cob, it came out of a can from the grocery store. And I'll tell you, I am not a fan of cream style corn out of the can, so it never occurred to me to scrape my corn off the cob and freeze it that way. But it is delicious. So I freeze mine on the cob, and that way I have the option of cooking it on the cob or scraping it after I defrost it. And the corn I use today is called Peaches and Cream. It's basically just a bicolor corn. I do remember growing up that my grandpa always planted 2 rows of corn side by side, and one would be Seneca Chief, which was a golden colored corn, and one would be Silver Queen, which is that white color. And they would always crossbreed, cross-pollinate, and we would end up with bicolored corn like this, and that makes it so delicious. You babies don't know what to do with it, do you? These mamas sure do. It's good stuff. Tell him, this is a treat. You only get it one time a year. Try it. being noisy this afternoon. Well, that's it. We got it all done. It's been a long day, but it was a lot of fun.